Hi, I'm Owen Bueller. I climb a little. We did a route in these alpine spires in Colorado, kind of on the western slope-ish. Turned out to be quite the alpine adventure. Pretty bold climbing for sure.
Do you have a favorite piece of gear?
I don't know. There we go. This is probably
That's probably my favorite. Yes, I'm Nate Witonsky. I'm 23 years old. Just graduated college. I don't know. I like to climb, I like to ski, I like to raft, pretty much anything outdoorsy. Yeah, I don't know. Love the outdoors. I guess that's my hobbies. Probably a little bit. So this was my first alpine climbing trip. I've done a little bit of rock climbing in the past.
Nathaniel up on the wall.
But this was definitely the first time that I've been in a situation on alpine rock, so that was definitely really cool. You know, it was the culmination of previous climbing experiences combined with training and endurance. You know, our packs were 70 plus pounds with all of the camera gear and the climbing gear and the camping gear. Definitely one of the most surreal outdoor experiences I've ever had.
You're in there, you're done. Yeah, bud. So this is without food.
And without water weight.
And without water weight. Oh yeah. So ladies and gentlemen, that's like a 63-pound pack. Plus a couple pounds after that. Yeah. So it's not. It's like, where is it? Alright, so how long is that one? You want me to lead it? No.
6.5 hours later.
Okay, right now it is currently 7:44 in the morning. We're only 44 minutes behind schedule because Boy Scout Billy over here had to pack in the morning today.
So good thing that we took the wrong turn.
I have to make you turn because this is what happens when you take videos and don't pay attention to the road. This is Blue. He's from Canada. He's from Revelstoke, and he's a very great man. Owen is a bit tired this morning. How you feeling, Billy? Feel good.
as we were driving, yeah, I was stunned by the beauty of the landscape and overcome with butterflies and excitement of the trip happening. You know, from the planning to the training to the preparation, it was crazy that it was all finally happening. I knew that what I was about to embark upon would be a major challenge, mentally and physically, but I was ready to begin.
I mean, we don't have to go far. Blue's hanging in there. Oh, there he goes. You!
5 minutes later.
So about 5 minutes in, we're crossing a little creek. Owen fell in. He got his pants all wet. Billy just crossed. He's gonna pass me to pull back. Nice. Now it's my turn.
Water's a bit liquid there. Rough start, wet start. And I look extra sexy.
What did this trip mean to you, and what was like its purpose?
Yeah, I mean, I think this trip like embodies adventure climbing. You know, I always am trying to find unique and kind of untracked adventures. And I think this definitely checked all the boxes. I was looking for something that, you know, required multiple skills in an environment that is certainly less traveled, and I think this embodied all of that.
What did preparation look like? Did you do any training?
There's a good, I don't know if it's a quote or it's really more of a phrase, but whenever you're doing anything, you know, outside that's somewhat dangerous, it's good to train past the point of what the climb entails or what the trip entails. And so, you know, being able to do the climb is one thing, but being able to have the endurance to push past anything in case something goes wrong, I think is necessary in preparing or going into any of these trips. Just focus on a lot of outdoor climbing and kind of pushing myself more than I was used to, just to make sure that I had the mental ability and mindset to push past any fear that would set in or any challenges I would have on the route.
This trip represents my values as a climber and as a friend. As a climber, I'm looking for adventurous, bold climbing in beautiful places that few people have been before. And as a friend, this was an opportunity to bring Nate along, someone that I hadn't really done a trip like this before with, and it definitely added a new dynamic to the trip that I hadn't been used to in the past. I felt more responsible for his safety. It was his intro to all of this, you know, this whole world, and that made me approach it in ways that I hadn't in the past.
Here is the campsite. There's Owen's tent. with his wet socks because he fell in the river?
Oh, grasshopper on my foot. There's a grasshopper on my foot.
There's a grasshopper on Owen's foot?
Not sure at the moment.
Wow. Alright, there was a deer down here earlier. Oh, there he is. Hello, guy. He's by himself.
Alright, so we'll just get the water really hot.
Pad Thai review.
We got some pesto right there. We're gonna cook up. Yeah, it's gonna be a great time, great meal. It's a great evening. It's getting a little chilly though. All right, here's the final chicken pesto pocket product. How is it?
Good morning. Right now we're cooking up some summer sausage. It's around 8 a.m. It's a beautiful day, clear skies. The sun's coming up over there. And
Alrighty, it's the morning. Morning's tying his shoes. We're packed up, ready to go on with the day. Today we're hiking up to there. We are climbing 2 of those spires. It's gonna be sick.
taking a step back, how did you get into climbing in the first place?
My dad and mom were big climbers in California in the late 80s and 90s. They climbed at Yosemite and South Lake Tahoe a lot, and then they stopped when they had my brother and I, but then as I started to do more peaks and 14ers and increase my climbing abilities and scrambling abilities, and I had the teachers in my own house, and so it's pretty easy just to get back out there and learn a lot from the old pros.
Let me know when you're ready.
Cool. What is alpine climbing, and how's it different, and what are the dangers of it?
Alpine climbing is also trad climbing, however it's in an alpine environment. This usually entails longer approaches, weathered rock, less climbed routes, runouts, shit gear placements, and it just kind of levels it all up from typical trad climbing.
At the top of the first climb, yeah, I was overwhelmed with emotion. The beauty, the reality of being at the top, the gratefulness for the opportunity, and the feeling of self-success. I was definitely fully in the moment, but I did feel over-prepared for the next climb, and I was wrong.
Pretty early on, it was clear that this main objective was significantly harder than our warm-up route. It was bigger, it looked more technical, and just kind of on another platform than the warm-up. And so, I was definitely still very nervous about going for it, but it's kind of the reason why we came out here. This is everything right now. And so we racked up at the bottom, and we slowly started chipping away at the route itself.
With all that entail, how do you remain calm while doing that?
It's kind of like, it's like a forced meditation. Obviously you're dealing with pretty high consequence climbing. One fall could be super dangerous. And so you really need to have confidence in yourself. It can't necessarily be to a blinding degree. You obviously still need to be aware of the dangers you're facing and move extremely slowly on the rock, but you can only think about moving slowly on the rock. You can't really let in room for fear or distractions or concerns that will take you out of the moment when climbing.
Once I got to the first belay station of the first pitch, I was eager to get off belay and just stand on a solid, flat surface. The start of the climb was puzzling and more difficult than I expected. I wasn't used to alpine rock, and it became evident that physically I was fine, but mentally I was in a battle.
Try this trick and spin it, yeah. Your head'll collapse, but there's nothing in it, and you'll ask yourself, where is my mind? Where is my mind? Where is my mind? Mama said it's gonna be a flight. Where is my mind?
As the weight of due dates, water bills, and whether or not I took my laundry out of the wash slowly forsake the mind, I am invariably powered upwards by silent, tangible energy, merging the gap between body and mind, represented by delicate movements, guiding me into the effortless, rhythmic dance with the rock that I know so well. I was so happy to see the sun on top of the climb. It meant that it was over, but I came up to a pile of bowling ball sized rocks neatly stacked on top of each other. It was very clear that the intensity that this route presents was not over yet.
For the second pitch of the climb, I was over-gripping the rock, moving slower, thinking more deeply, and allowing a lot more fear to set in, to be honest. Falling, to me, was just not an option. I got to the head wall, which is a slightly overhanging section of the rock right before the top, and I thought this was it. But as I started climbing, moving upward slowly, a piece of the rock came out of the wall, and I nearly fell. So while the physical crux of the route had already been climbed, that moment was easily the largest mental crux for me. I started to slightly panic and let fear take control. I started climbing worse, and I could feel my muscles really tensing up. But I knew I was close to the top and just had to battle through. Once I eventually got to Owen and allowed the fear to float away, I realized that I had done it.
And then I couldn't find the wrap anchors. I had read one piece of beta that laid out that there was 2 pins and a nut up there somewhere. But on through this massive pile of loosely stacked rocks, I was scared to go searching. Luckily, we had number 1 cameraman Billy at the bottom with a drone, and so he was able to fly up, and he spotted some loose cord just 20 feet down from us, and so we were able to walk over to there, and sure enough, there was 2 bomber pins and a welded nut that we were able to throw some webbing on and wrap off. And as I slowly came over the edge, it seemed like the world opened up below me. I don't think the rope touched the rock until the knots at the bottom. It was one of the most surreal, wonderful experiences of my life. Almost the best part of the climb. Yeah. This pro is so shit. I just want to go see Billy. I can't wait if I go see Billy. I'm not trying to go see Billy.
What do you think, my boy?
That was probably the craziest thing I've ever done. That was crazy. I don't know how Owen let it. Like, I really don't know. I mean, this is insane. The pro is shit on the second pitch. Like,
He a dog.
I think I got that big rock.
Oh, just
Sorta. I think I tried to track it.
I mean, at least you got the
But
sound.
I got the sound, definitely.
that was probably the scariest moment of the climb.
That was
because
because I knocked it off and I'm like, oh, it must have just nudged a little, and I just hear through the valley. And like, oh my God.
I was just sitting there like I can't see you, so I'm just kind of like looking down the road doing my thing, and all of a sudden it's like,
Yeah, you got.
like and it wasn't dude like there were smaller rocks too that
Yeah.
like smaller rocks, and they're like missiles.
Yes,
they're like
you can hear them coming. They're like,
yeah. Yeah. I was like, oh my god, I'm like tucked into my little corner.
that's why it's PG-13 for you. But yeah, a lot of loose rock. Very happy that the wrap anchor was bomber. I was not gonna be happy if we had to make our own. But yeah, it was really good. Like good pins and webbing was good.
After we got done with the 2 climbs, we were a little behind schedule, so we had to rush down to the camp, get all packed up, and go back to the car and drive back to Boulder that night. I know Owen had school in the morning, and I had work, and so while it was an amazing, really fun trip, we had to come back to reality and life.
You know, the whole reason why we do it all is just because it's fun. You know, it's fun to climb outside and backpack and camp like, with your friends. It doesn't need to be, you know, some big multi-week expedition in Antarctica, or it doesn't need to be like, you know, some groundbreaking feat to, you know, feel accomplishment or, you know, success. It can just be, you know, a climb, an adventure of any kind. And so I think, you know, everything that this trip brought is kind of what fuels us, you know, fuels the fire and keeps us going.